Yo, it's me, CSCOTT baby, and I'm here with my review of Rambo Last Blood, starring Sylvester Stallone and directed by Adrian Grunberg. Alright guys, we're finishing up the Rambo series here. I'm gonna do a ranking video on it. Okay. Couple things now. First, I know I said that when I watched the fourth one, that's the most brutal I've seen. This almost tops that. Not it's not quite good there, but it almost tops that with the brutality of this. And I want to say, I was talking about the tones of the films as they went along, where the first one was this dark character study about someone with PTSD, and the second one kind of had a little bit of that, a little bit of the action, movie tropes. The third one was full action movie trope, and then 4 went back to this dark, brooding stuff, not as much in the story details as the first one, but more dark brooding. This one goes way back. There's some action stuff in it, but it's few far between when it comes to the action stuff. It's more laid back because Stallone is now older. He's in his 70s. And he's, it's more than that. This isn't John Rambo from the 80s, or even the John Rambo from 2008. He's going around, he's in his 50s then. And so like I said, it was 20 years between 1988 and 2008 when that came out. And then 11 years between 2008 and 2019, which is when this came out. And the story revolves around Rambo is now living on a ranch with a family friend and her granddaughter, who he thinks of as his niece. He's basically helped raise her from when she was a little girl. And when she goes to Mexico to find her father and doesn't come back, he has to go rescue her. First and foremost, I want to say, if you're going to watch this and you haven't seen the trailer, don't watch the trailer, because the trailer, at least the first trailer I remember watching, is from the climax. Like, it doesn't really show you everything, but it's from the climax, like almost every shot. I don't understand why they did that, but I'm sitting there watching it, and we're getting to the point where there's like 40 minutes left, and I'm like, none of that stuff in the trailer has been shown yet. And, because the only thing was that he was going to get her, and I'm like, but they came to him. It's the climax. Had to be the climax. And it is. So what happens is she goes to see her father, and her grandmother and Rambo both say, no, don't do that. He didn't want anything to do with you. Why would you do it? She wants to know why. So she goes, she has help from her friend Giselle, and she goes to Mexico to find him. And he basically tells her that he never wanted anything to do with her. He never, he didn't want anything to do with either of them, her or her mother, and he just couldn't stand it, and he left. And he's basically an asshole. So she goes to her friend Giselle, and they go to a club, and that's where she gets taken by this Mexican cartel. And Giselle calls the grandmother and let her know what happened. And as Rambo figures out later, it was just to save her ass, because she has the freaking bracelet around her. It's a bracelet that the Gabrielle's mother gave to her, and Rambo knows that. Rambo forces Giselle to show him who it was that took Gabrielle, and it points to the guy, something, I don't know, but and what he does to torture him to get information is, like, this dude's about a score, and he takes a knife, goes in, and he pulls out part of his collarbone and just kind of holds it there and threatens him. And he takes him to the place where everything is, and he says it points like a penthouse thing. And the one down spot about this, the one negative I want to say, is that Rambo should have been smart in this situation. He wasn't thinking, happens to the best of us, but he just decides he can just walk up there. I know in the past, Rambo's been all like this. but now he's from here to, you know what I mean? He's not the same guy he was 30, 40 years ago. Far from it. So he decides he's going to walk right up there. Well, of course he gets surrounded, and they take his weapons, and they take his wallet, and there's a picture of Gabrielle in there, and they're speaking to him in Spanish, and he acts like, you know, he doesn't say anything, typical Rambo thing, and he acts like, you can almost think maybe he's acting like he doesn't understand Spanish, until the guy calls Gabrielle a whore, and John freaks out, and they beat the shit out of him. They cut an X into his cheek, which is, and this woman, Delgado, she's an investigative reporter, and she was investigating what was going on, and she followed Rambo from the club, and she saves him after they leave. She takes him to her house, and, you know, cares for him and everything for 4 days, and he decides, you know, he's not done with this, so he somehow finds his way back through there. He has help. Finds his way back through there, and he goes and he beats the shit out of people. Not guns blazing, he just... And he's telling these girls, get out, but they're afraid they're going to get killed if they do. He finds his niece, Gabrielle. She's been heavily drugged, and he takes her out. She thinks she's going to get raped again, because they're basically using her for be like a whore or something. Whatever. Slave raping, whatever. And, he takes her, and he's driving back, and they're having this sentimental moment where they're talking about each other and talking and stuff, and he's talking about, you know, the past and everything. He knows something's going to happen, and sure enough, she dies, and he drives back, and it's an emotional scene when the grandmother finds her. Like, she can't even go close to the car. She stops at the car. And Rambo tells her, go to your sisters. You know, they bury her and tells her, go to your sisters for a while. Because he's getting ready to fight back. What he does is he rigs this whole, the whole ranch that he's on. He rigs it for battle. And then he goes back to Mexico, which I don't understand why it's so easy to go back from Mexico like that. There's a border, right? I don't know. But he goes back to Mexico, and he talks to Delgado. And he says that he needs her help again or something. And he gets to Victor, which is one of the two brothers that took her, and he decapitates him. And then goes back to his ranch in Arizona and waits. Because his brother and the rest of the cartel are going to come looking for him. And when they get there, it's the showdown. It's the climax. And like I said, most of the stuff you see in the trailer is in here. There's fights underneath the ground. He got these tunnels, right? And it's shown from the beginning that he loves these tunnels. Like, they're his favorite thing. He's installed them. He loves these tunnels. He barely lets anyone in there. He lets Gabrielle have a party down there at the beginning, which is pretty cool. I mean, you know, a little underground party, which I wouldn't want to be down there. I don't know if I'd be able to do it, but he rigs it. He does everything up. And you got arrows and stuff, and fights all these guys. He takes out every single one of them, except for the main guy, and says, you want to live, follow the light. And he sets the thing up, starts to shake, and the whole thing's going to detonate. And the guy has to run, eventually escaping before the whole thing detonates. But unfortunately for him, he walks right into the hands of John Rambo, who uses a bow and arrow to stick him to the barn wall, and then he cuts open the guy's chest and rips his heart out, because that's what he's like. This is what it felt like. He rips the heart out, and what I like is the effect that it's still beating a little bit, and then stops. And then John Rambo walks up to the porch. He sits on a rocking chair, and he sits there, and the movie ends. And then what I like, this really cool they did is because I think Stallone has something to do with this. They don't know if this is going to be the last one or not. And even if they do make another one, Stallone said it might be a prequel or it could be a sequel where he's on an Indian reservation. But just think about this. Between Rambo 3 and the fourth one, 20 years. Between the fourth one and this one, 11 years. Does Stallone have 11, 20, 10, 5 years? Given what's going on in the world right now, does he have that? I think if something were to happen to Stallone and we never get another Rambo movie, or if they just never make another one, this could be a decent ending because here's what we have. Because he tells Maria that he's gonna she asks what he's gonna do when he tells her to go to Sisters. He goes, "I'm gonna wander the road, like I always do." We get a montage at the end, during the credits of the first 4 films, stuff that happened, and then even the stuff from this film for some reason, and it ends with Rambo getting on his horse, still beaten and bruised, and riding off into the sunset. And I think that if they never made another one again, that could be it. Because you could interpret this in a different way. Because before the credits, you see him go up and sit on the rocking chair. And then it shows the stuff that happened in his life. And then he gets on the horse. What if, and to make another one, I'll be proved wrong. He's been through hell in this movie. He's 70-something years old. He gets up on the chair, and he finally dies. And all these flashbacks we're seeing are his life flashing before his eyes before he dies. And him getting on the horse symbolizes him riding into heaven. Now, I'm not a, churchgoer. I believe in God. But that, I thought of that when I saw it. I'm like, what if that means he's not just riding into sunset, but he's riding into heaven? What if when he goes up, sits in a rocking chair, that's where he dies? Think of it. He went back to that ranch because it was his father's ranch. His father passed away, and Maria and her granddaughter were his only family. Gabrielle died. He sent Maria away to her sisters. What does he have left? If he gave his all getting justice for what happened to his niece, and he died because of that, maybe that's the way to go. Who knows? I'm not saying that he's definitely dead, but if that seems to be what it implied, at least to me, that's what I got from it. Great way to go out. I just want to say, before I give my score, that I had not seen really any of these movies. Bits and pieces of the first one and beginning of the second one, but I had never seen really any of these movies before this. And I went into this thinking, I don't know what I'm going to think about these movies. Generally, watching all these in a row, binge watching in one day, I love these movies. The first 2 I generally regard as the best. With this one and the fourth one close behind, and the third one, of course, at the end. I'll give my full ranking in another video, but I'm just saying that I like these movies. I'm just saying, from someone who's never seen any of these to watching them all, they're great. The only thing I kept thinking of was because he has short hair. I kept seeing him as Rocky, especially there's one time where he's talking to someone and he does that Rocky thing with the neck or whatever. It's just a long thing, but whatever he does, they kind of cut me as Rocky. But yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10 because I really enjoyed it. Couple of things like I didn't really like why the niece died. I understand why she had to. And I didn't really, I don't know, there's not really much negative about it. Just like the whole going back and forth across the border so easily doesn't make any sense to me. And I know people were kind of negative on this, but I really liked it. 8 out of 10 for me. So what are your thoughts on Rambo Last Blood? Let me know in the comments below. Like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one. What's the next one? Well, I don't know. I have more sly Mania to do. But do I want to take a break? Do something else? I don't know. It's going to be a ranking video, but look for those. I'll see you in the next one.